Hello Pisces, welcome to your November Tarotscope. So I'm Jenny Fitterer and I've pulled a single card for you for the month of November to see what's coming up. So the first 2/3 of November is Scorpio season, and then towards the end of the month we're going to be moving into Sagittarius. So the card that we have for you today is the Five of Wands. So this is the way he looks the right way up. So this is the Five of Wands. There's a lot of action happening here. We've got these wands that are kind of like crossways with each other. In the background, we have these soldiers, these pikemen in armor with their pikes, but all in front, it's kind of obscured with this big red swirl and a bunch of butterflies up front. So this is a very busy card. And we're going to go to the book to see what the Five of Wands has for you for this month. Okay. Five of Wands, shaping your will. Wands stand for instinctive drives and initiative and represent the fire element. Five wands are the essence of the fire element, the human will. Our will is made up of our deeds and intentions, our consciously chosen actions, and our unconscious motives. As long as the fire of life burns, your will is constantly being reshaped. In the background, 7 or 8 helmets of lance bearers and 12 lances can be seen on the card. Each one of the 12 lances and of the 5 green wands represents a certain type of energy. As if participating in a huge game of pick-up sticks, it is your task to gather up this energy, to sort through it, and to focus it on something worthwhile. Different interests and tendencies are always pulling in different directions. What has first priority? How can several goals be attained at the same time? An integral part of this process of shaping the will is for existing role models to become obsolete. The red area in the middle of the card stands for your personal fire, your power and vivacity, creating new facts that go way beyond traditional expectations or experiences, thus dismissing those redundant conceptions. Do not spread your energies too thin. Center yourself. See your current tasks as tests of your determination, your willpower, and your playfulness. Find out which aspects of your will are in harmony with your desires, and so able to get something moving. Find out which acts of will are superfluous because you are still trying to force something to happen that is actually no longer relevant or has not yet become so. Practical advice. Create space in your daily routine. This might include taking some time out or establishing your own room. New alternatives are waiting to be explored and tested in your personal relationships and in your career. Go for it. Okay, will. This is an interesting card for you, Pisces, because this might feel like it's not really your natural go-to, is to have a firm sense of will and a clear direct action and then to move towards it. So one of the kind of aspects of Pisces is usually this sort of nebulous feeling, this sort of it sometimes feel very foggy and kind of cloudy. Clarity is not necessarily the most Piscean thing to experience. There's a lot more of this like feeling more blended in with other people, blended in with the energies around you, and sort of being a part of the ocean of emotion around you. So whereas this card is a fire card, and so fire kind of burns its own little light, and it's also really talking about that shape of the human will, your desires, your motivations, your deeds, and your actions that then manifest or become the manifestation of your will. So that's very like direct action oriented, and it definitely, in order to really be clear about your will, like it's a very personal sort of thing. Your will, whatever you might will, may have to do with the collective. It might be your will to help out others or to be kind of still a part of community, but that's still your individual will as an ego, as a human. That's still something that's just yours to experience. And it can often be it can be sometimes be hard to discipline yourself to really get clear on what your will is telling you that you want. Sometimes it can be very easy to just be like, well, what do other people want? And I'll kind of help with that. Or, as everybody else, I'll kind of pick whatever's needed based on what everybody else has sort of done, instead of saying, okay, it doesn't matter what other people's will is. What is really, what's mine beyond the situation? Just what is that fire kind of telling me? What is that kind of pull, that inspiration, initiative that wants to be enacted? And then how you choose to act on your will, how you choose to manifest, and the deeds and the actions that you take to kind of channel towards your will, that is certainly still fine and good to take account others and kind of take account the collective, but it's fine to compromise with your actions to be in a healthy community, but that's not the same thing as compromising your will. It's not the same thing as taking that inner fire and saying, no, I can't, what I want isn't quite right, or what my will is telling me that I would like to go for and initiate, that's not right. So you can kind of see the difference where, you can be very clear and uncompromised in yourself and then still choose to take actions that take other people into account. You don't have to suddenly become a bully. And in fact, many people can have issue with people who have very strong willpower, or can sort of take prejudice to that, because sometimes what we see as really strong willpower can come off as really pushy when it's people who maybe they won't compromise the willpower and they won't compromise their deeds either, or they don't take into account anybody else when they are initiating and acting on their will, and so they can come across as kind of like bullying. So we don't necessarily want that either, but there's this healthy middle ground, still having an ego, still having a will, and then still operating in a healthy way in kind of collective community there. So that's kind of the first main pull of this card, is really just suggesting for you this month to try to pull inward and try to see, okay, what, and it's not necessarily that easy. This card, the Five of Wands, has a very kind of hectic energy of having to gather up and collect the energy of these wands that are all kind of crosshairs together. So it's not necessarily it's not just a discovery of, oh, this is my willpower. It's kind of like a practice of gathering in pieces of yourself. Okay, what do I really like to do? What kind of really makes me emotional in a positive or a negative way? Okay, that's part of my will. Okay, and what do I like? Kind of taking stock of all of the various places that you put your energy out and seeing, okay, why do I do that? Was that actually tied to my desires? Is that really tied to what I want to do, or do I feel obligated? So it is this kind of taking stock feeling in order to get, once you put it all together, it kind of forms the shape of what it is that your desires are, of what your willpower is. So it's fine if it doesn't feel clear right away. It's a practice. It's not necessarily a eureka light bulb moment. I mean, for some it might, but it's more about, that kind of gathering it all together. There's also that in line with talking about bringing that energy in. It's talking about don't spread your energies too thin, which is, you may be really spread out. And as a Pisces, you may kind of tend to really dissolve into other people and be a part of a lot of different things and not really be able to find your center. So it's really suggesting this is a really great season to pull in, bring those energies in. So Scorpio season is a water sign. So where the beginning of the month is in a water element. So that's kind of your home sign. But the water element of Scorpio is all about the deep, deep emotions of yourself. So Scorpio as a water sign is the only water sign that's directly about the self and not super concerned with others. Pisces, you're very concerned with the energies of others. Cancer is still very concerned with the nurturing energy of another being. Scorpio is about me. Scorpio is about my feelings, my emotions, my experience as a subjective being. It's about getting into all of those deep emotions that are the deep passions as well as the deep sorrows, and finding that truth in there. So this part of you coming into yourself, bringing your energy in and trying to find your will, that suggestion is to sink down into that core emotional body that's just yours, that's just you, and pulling up from there, gathering kind of the energies of your deep emotions, and that's going to be part of the fuel, the emotional fuel that connects you to your will. Because what's your true willpower? It's not going to just be lackadaisical, I don't really care. If it's something that you have a strong emotional connection to, that's a part of your willpower. If you don't really care, it really might not be a part of the core self of you. So that's that Scorpio energy for the beginning of the month. Sorry, I'm sniffling a lot. I've just got a bit of congestion. And then towards the end of the month, we have Sagittarius season. So Sagittarius is all about the big picture and expanding up to try to see the kind of everything from all sides, and to get the whole big truth of things. Sagittarius really is concerned about the truth. From a kind of over-expanding viewpoint. So it's my truth, it's your truth, it's the whole truth, is what Sagittarius really wants to experience. So this is one of those, once in the beginning of the month, if you sink down into that kind of scorpionic deep, deep ocean of your emotions, gather in your energies to try to be getting clear on your willpower, then Sagittarius season towards the end of the month is more when it's going to be oh, I see it now. I see the big picture. And you get that insight, and you get kind of a better sense of wisdom of knowing kind of the truth of your willpower and the truth of what it is that your intentions and your deeds are going to be leading you towards. And then you'll have that understanding for yourself to be able to move forward. So that is kind of the basics for you this month. There's a few kind of big transits that are happening in Scorpio season. So before Sagittarius season, and the Scorpio season Pay What You Can workshop is up and available on my website and on YouTube. So if you want to get a little bit more insight with the planetary aspect of what's happening, highly suggest you check that out. Otherwise, have fun this month, Pisces. Try to be a little bit selfish. It's okay to say no to other people, just to have that kind of energy to pull in, and figure out what your will and what these Five of Wands has to tell you. Okay, take care, Pisces.